Bruce, thanks for sitting down with me today. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Good to see you down here in San Diego.
Yes. Thanks.
Bruce, you have now been with ABM. We got 6 years on the clock.
Come knocking on 6 years with ABM.
Yeah.
Yes.
And before that, you were with a seed
I
company.
was with a regional seed company there in Indiana for 16 years. Worked in the field of district sales manager and sales and marketing and advertising and that kind of things.
What do you think, having that seed experience, how has that helped you as you moved into the biological side?
Well, not only did that experience help me, but prior to that, I went to Purdue University and my major was in agronomy. So combined with my major and working with the seed industry for so long, now I moved into the biological seed treatment side of the agriculture business. I think it all just come together and works well.
So moving from seed that has this centuries of kind of trust and understanding built into it, moving into biologicals, new field for everyone. There's a big educational component to it.
Yeah.
What has the uptake been since you now got 6 years under your belt? What was the uptake in the beginning, and maybe what's the uptake now?
Right, and so like you said, it is an educational process because when I started with ABM, the biological side of the industry was coming on strong, and now we're seeing more of a snowball effect. It's growing much more rapidly now, and so when I first started with ABM, it's an educational process and educating folks and putting it in their hands and letting them try it on their farm so they can see the benefits of using that.
Proof is in the pudding.
That's right. Yeah. So in the biological world, I'd like to compare it to, it's like the Bible talks about understanding faith. What is faith? Substance of things hoped for, evidence and not seen. Right. So so when you're dealing with microorganisms, you can't see those things. So sometimes you just need to step out on that faith and give it a try.
And give it a try, and then when people try it, they see the results.
You see the results. Even during the growing season, even from germination, emergence, vigor, throughout the growing season, you see physiological changes in the plant.
How do you touch? So you have to spend a lot of time on farm talking to farmers about the formulations and why it works. How do you handle that? What's your approach when you're talking to folks?
Well, it's like we were just talking about. It's all about education and educating on how those different microbials that we're using in our products, how they work with the plant, how they interact with the plant, and the benefits they give the plant. And so I got to do that. I got to show that to them.
Right. And once you can give a little explanation, and then the explanation gets them to try it. Once they try it, they see the benefits.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So now I'm going to ask you to look into your little crystal ball a little bit. From a biological standpoint, what do you see coming in the next 3 to 5 years? What can we expect?
So I would say continue the education of the biologicals. What we saw 5 years ago, like I said, it's more of a snowball effect. We're seeing more biological companies coming out into the market. We're seeing a lot more biological products introduced into the marketplace. So when I talk to growers, I like to educate them on make sure you understand what you're looking at buying. Okay? When you talk to them, they're asking me about this biological product. I say, well, what's the label say? What's the active ingredients? Is there a true living biological, a living organism, or is it a biological enhancer, a nutrient source that supplements or feeds the biologicals in the soil and around the seed? There's differences there. So I tell them it's no different than when you look at your insecticide, pesticide, herbicides. It always says read and follow the label instructions. And so that's what I tell growers. The other thing I tell them is that when you're dealing with a living organism, all those packages have got an expiration date on them, okay? And so always check your expiration dates. Make sure that the product you got that you're going to use on your farm is fresh product because they're living organisms just like you and I, and they don't like high temperatures. They don't like high heat. You can kill them,
Right.
just like you and I can be killed.
Exactly.
So
Got to manage that.
yeah,
Like every other facet of the process, you got to manage it.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
So if we're going to continue that educational process, what do you see as some of the obstacles that we have to get over to be successful?
It's all about education,
Yeah.
and more product awareness, understanding what's in the marketplace.
Right. And so that's no small task, right? Getting that information across. It's one thing to get it across to this audience that we're talking to here today and at the IPSA meeting.
Yeah.
These folks get it. They understand it. They see the merits to it. But now we're asking them and your organization to help get that message across to farmers.
Right.
Whose responsibility is it?
So it kind of goes back on us as well.
Right.
Because we also not only work with seed companies, we also work with nationwide distribution centers. So it even goes out to your ag retail locations. And so it's my job to reach out to those folks that have access to our products that are taking it out to the grower to make sure they understand what's in our product, how our product works, how it interacts with the plant, and the results you see.
So you have a specific territory you're responsible for. Indiana, Ohio, and Michigan, right? Is your
right, and Kentucky and the eastern half of Illinois,
right.
As well as I work with the national seed accounts for ABM.
Excellent. Which is why you're here with Ipsen today.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
How does the management practices for biologicals shift as you move around the U.S.?
Yeah, so of course at ABM we have different formulations of products. So we have formulations that are designed specifically for seed companies.
Right.
Then we also have, and those formulations would work on ag retail level. But then we also have formulations that a farmer could use at the field when he gets ready to plant. He can mix a product, it's a talc graphite formulation, right into seed as he plants. And so there's different levels of where that treatment gets on the seed. And then again, when you talk about geographical areas, when you go certain geographical areas, we see bigger responses than we do in other geographical areas. Some geographical areas, the seed treatment will last longer based on the location versus like, if you get up in Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, we can get seed treatments, the inoculants to last longer on the seed than if you put the same inoculant on something down in Alabama.
Right.
Because of the heat.
Right. Oh, I thought it was going to be because of good, clean living up there.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's all about the heat.
Right.
Keep in mind that, when the seed temperature gets up there, those bacteria start moving around, they start living, and when the food source runs out for them, they're going to die. Just like you and I, if you didn't have a food source, we would perish.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is there crops, from a profile standpoint for ABM, is there a profile from a crop perspective that you all focus more on than others? Where's the sweet spot?
For ABM, our sweet spot would be the row crops. The corn, the soybeans probably number one, biggest, and then corn, and then wheat.
Right.
But then we also reach out into other markets as well: cotton, rice, peanuts, vegetables. We have different products for all those types of crops as well.
Okay. So I'm going to change gears a little bit now, and you got some years under your belt. You got that same color in your beard as I seem to have mustered here.
Yep.
What do you tell young people that are looking to either get into the business or are in the business and are trying to figure out their path? What's your advice?
That's a good question, and I talk about this quite a bit when I'm talking to the youth. I had kids myself that. And one went to college, and when he went to college, he didn't know what he wanted to study. And I see that all the time with our young folks coming up. And so the way I tell them, I said, I've spent 31 years in agriculture. And I've been blessed to be in agriculture because people in agriculture are some of the best people you will ever work with, okay? And so I tell them, agriculture is so diverse, okay? You don't have to come from a farm to be in an agricultural business.
Right.
You may like journalism, or you might like communications, or you might like graphic design, or you might be good with computers as an IT expert. You might like engineering, electrical or construction engineering. There's so many different facets that you have a certain area that interests you. Go get that interest, get that under your belt, but come to agriculture.
Right.
Because the door's wide open in agriculture.
Absolutely.
And there's no other better people to work with than people that are working in agriculture.
Well said. Very well said. I couldn't agree possibly more. That doesn't necessarily mean, not that there's anything wrong with having dirt on your hands, but it doesn't mean you have to have dirt on your hands to be involved in agriculture.
Exactly.
Yeah, well said. I like that.
Hey, even if you like microbiology.
Right.
That's what I mean, so.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm curious, it's a busy business that we're in. What drives you on a day-to-day basis? What gets you out of bed to take on that next task, other than flying down to San Diego
on a rainy day? It's very exciting. When I came into ABM, the microbial world was a whole different world for me. I had to learn all the things about the microbials, and it took me back to my college days. As an agronomy major, I had to take a microbiology class.
Right.
And I think to myself, boy, I should have paid more attention to that class.
Isn't that the truth?
You know?
Isn't that the truth?
But nonetheless, as you learn more about microbials and how they interact with the plant and the soil and the environment, it becomes more evident that, I like educating people about the products and how things work.
Right, right.
So that's what.
So we're just coming into 2017. What would be one thing you personally or in business want to accomplish for 2017?
I want to sell more biological products.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good call. That's a good call. There'll be some people happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Right. And so if that is, I believe you, and I believe that the industry is looking for that, what do we have to do to make that happen?
They need to try it.
Right.
If you've not tried biologicals, some people will say, oh, that's snake oil. And I said, well, no, not really, because it's living organisms. And we see benefits with those living organisms. So if you've not tried biological on your farm, I would encourage you to take a look at it. Give me a call or call your ABM rep, and we'll get some product in your hands so you can actually see the differences for yourself on your farm.
Right. Try it and see the results. Don't believe you.
Yeah.
Try it and determine for yourself.
Most people don't believe me.
Right.
They got to see it for themselves.
And don't we all?
Yep, that's right.
But the only way you can see it for yourself is to try it.
Right.
Awesome. Thanks very much, Bruce. Pleasure sitting down with you.
Well, thank you for having me.